The Raptors' two-game win streak against the Knicks and the Cavaliers perhaps masked the real concerns that this team has that were once again highlighted in yesterday's loss to the Los Angeles Clippers. So in today's video, I'm going to reveal to you the three major problems that the Raptors need to fix if they want any hope of actually going anywhere over the course of this season. Let's get into it. What's going on, NBA and Raptors fans? Welcome back to Amateur Hour Sports, your source for the greatest coverage and analysis on the latest Toronto Raptors news. If you like what you see from today's video and you want more videos just like this and live stream watch parties for every single Raptors game, then make sure you are subscribed to Amateur Hour Sports. Help me on my road now to 14,000 subscribers. And please, if you find yourself enjoying this video along the way, please drop a like. It does go a long way to supporting the channel. Helps out with the YouTube algorithm by getting this video to appear on more recommended pages. But our video, the three major problems that the Raptors have, which have been really the reason they're in this hole at the moment here. Going into the season, there are expectations, not just from Raptors fans, but fans around the NBA in general, that this was a good Raptors team. A 5 seed last year, 48 wins last year, keeping the core together, only really getting better with this young core of players that are just, in theory, individually going to continue to develop, and we're going to have these individuals develop, and then, of course, the team will develop as well. But that just really has not been the case quite yet this season, as the Raptors are 15-19. They had that 6-game losing streak earlier on in the month, and it seemed like maybe the team was taking a turn for the better after beating the Knicks and ending their 6-game win streak, after beating the Cavaliers in pretty emphatic fashion with the way the offense went. But yesterday's game against the Clippers, I don't want to dwell on one game too much, but it was just a little bit of a reminder about all of the issues that this team does have this season that really do need to be fixed here. So let's go into the three major concerns here one by one. And the first big concern that Toronto Raptors have, and it was very, very apparent yesterday among other things that were very apparent, it was the rim protection. The Raptors, very specifically, and I think this was the biggest one, the Raptors do not have a rim protector. Recently, they've been playing Scottie Barnes in the center position in the last few games. It has looked really good. It looked good against the Knicks. It looked really good against the Cleveland Cavaliers. And you know what? For Scottie Barnes' individual performance, it looked good once again yesterday against the Clippers, but defensively, oh my goodness. Ivica Zubac, he's a good player. He's a fine player. I respect Ivica Zubac, but he's not good enough of a player for your team to have absolutely no answer for. And that's what you got from Ivica Zubac, who had 23 points, 16 rebounds. 10 of those rebounds were offensive rebound. He got everything he wanted in the paint. The amount of lobs that were thrown to him, ridiculous. He took over 10 free throw attempts. There was just no answer for him on the interior. Scottie Barnes, he's a fine defender, and he's playing really well offensively lately in that role. But, oh my goodness, as far as defending an opposition big, it just isn't really going to work out with him, and there was nobody else to provide an answer on the Raptors defense for the player. But it goes beyond just matching up one-on-one with the big, because we've had some success defending Joel Embiid. It's not like he beats us up every time that he plays against us, even though he's one of the premier players in the NBA. But it goes beyond that. It goes to the resistance and allowing guys to get to the rim. Two guys very good at slashing their way to the rim, creating layup opportunities. Yesterday, especially, were Reggie Jackson and Norman Powell. Now, we respect Norman Powell as a former Raptor. They're good players. Yes, they can put up a ton of points, but, the ease in which those guys were getting their points yesterday, they were shooting well, and we'll get to the shooting in just a second over here, but they're also just beating one guy off the dribble, and then after that, they were not really met with any defense as they got their way to the rim and hit layups with a considerable amount of ease. It was the product of the fact that they shot the ball really well from the field all throughout the game. It was many players in the Clippers who shot the ball extremely efficiently. Norman Powell and Reggie Jackson were two of those guys because they consistently just got downhill, got to the rim, and didn't really have much of a fuss of putting the ball in the basket in those positions. And, a couple of ways the Raptors can address this, it's definitely going to come from a trade here. The Raptors just don't have anybody who can play that role on the team. Koloko has been a nice surprise in terms of the expectation. He's not ready for the NBA level just yet. Two players you could go out and get, one specifically, Jakob Poeltl, who I've spoken about many times. The Spurs, they're tanking. They're looking for value for a player on an expiring contract. That is going to be available for you as you go to the deadline. And second of all, though the Pacers are playing well and there's slight discussions, rumors that Miles Turner might sign an extension, that could be a player that is also available for trade that Masai Ujiri in the front office could absolutely consider pursuing in a trade. Now, I just highlighted and hinted at what the number 2 might be here. And the second thing is the Raptors in the shooting department. Oh my goodness. It was on both ends of the floor here. A little bit of a product, again, of having no rim protection because guys are so worried about other things constantly. They can't really do their job as well on the perimeter. And having that rim protector on the defensive end will eliminate a lot of these open three-point opportunities that the Clippers are so good at exposing. The amount of wide open corner threes that this team created for themselves was ridiculous and just made me kind of jealous. I know they have a lot of good shooters, and that's a good team. Like the Clippers brought pretty much an entirely healthy team here. That is a good team, but we made them look a lot better. The rim protector just kind of gives you a bit more ease as a defensive unit to know that he's there stopping the rim. You can do your job and your rotations on the perimeter to just take away a lot of those open three-point opportunities. But specifically, we're not talking about what this does defensively for three-point shooting. The Raptors, once again, cannot hit a shot in the entire month of December, other than that just anomaly against the Cavaliers where the Raptors were lights out shooting. They just cannot hit threes with any sort of consistency here. It starts with Gary Trent Jr., starts with Fred VanVleet. Yesterday, you get another really good game from Gary Trent. Fred VanVleet kind of had a niggling injury throughout the game, but he had 3 really good looks for 3 that he just did not hit, was 0 for 3 from 3 in that game. Like, sure, there was the injury, but it's been better from Fred in December from a just straight up point standpoint, but on the season, we know we've expected more from him from 3. And I think just the thing that kills you about Fred VanVleet is that he's still scoring, but those wide open catch and shoot threes that were just like automatic in the previous seasons, those are the ones that are not dropping. Like those wide open ones, those ones where you create a really good look for him, those ones where you get the offensive rebound and kick it out to him for a second chance opportunity. Like I used to say, like Fred VanVleet never misses that second chance point opportunity, but this season, he never makes them. That is a concern. Beyond that, you've signed guys to address this concern. The front office knew about this concern going into the season. They addressed it. They signed Otto Porter Jr., who just doesn't play any games right now. He's always injured. And you signed Juancho Hernan-Gomez. And though I've liked Juancho in his specific roles as a role player for the Raptors, the 3 ball is still not falling. And in the third quarter yesterday, Juancho had like 4 wide open threes in the space of like 4 minutes and just could not hit any of them, forced Nick Nurse to take him off the floor because the Clippers were essentially leaving this guy open. Like, this is a guy you signed to be a shooter for your team, and this is a guy that is being left open. And sure, there's other things he's doing well. We need him to step up from a three-point shooting standpoint among other players. Siakam, like, you can't really rely on him to consistently hit your three-pointers. OG was quality once again. Malachi Flynn, who's been excellent in the last 2 weeks, he provided you a nice spark off the bench from a shooting standpoint, but it's just not enough from the Raptors, who hit only 1 three-pointer in the second half against the Clippers. Like, you're just not going to win a game in 2022, 2023 in a modern NBA shooting like that, especially playing against a Clippers team who can light you up from the outside. But again, the front office tried to make some adjustments, bringing guys in. They have to recognize that it still isn't good enough and more help is needed in those positions and in those endeavors. So let's move over to the third one, kind of highlighted there with the Raptors' second half performance, and specifically the third quarters for this team. What has been going on in the third quarters this season, especially in the last month or so, because even we had the 6-game losing streak where there was a few games, like the Kings game, where the third quarter loses you the game. Even the 2 wins against the Knicks and the Cavaliers, the Knicks destroyed us in the third quarter. The Cavaliers were making a serious run to get back into the game against the Raptors in that third quarter, and what was already a blowout situation for the Raptors. And yesterday, the Raptors, they were down by 4 at halftime. They actually won the fourth quarter, but my goodness, they get destroyed in the third quarter. And this is a difficult one for me to talk about because I just don't really know how to talk about it. I don't know what to say is going wrong there. I don't know what to kind of suggest needs to be fixed in those spots. I'm asking you, if you have any sort of thoughts, ideas as to what is going on in these third quarters, please let me know in the comments down below, because I am very much struggling as I'm watching these games to try and decipher exactly what is the issue with these third quarters for the Raptors? Some suggestions could be, is it coaching? Is it a lack of adjustments being made by our coach, Nick Nurse, and more adjustments being made in the halftime situations by the opposition coach? I think that's like the most likely, but even still, like though there's nothing really glaringly suggesting that that is the case. Is it Nick Nurse playing the guys too many minutes in the first half so they come out not as fresh as the other team's players come out for the second half? Like that's a possibility, but also like, you just had the entire halftime to rest, so I can't really see lack of rest being a factor in these third quarters. Again, it's very difficult for me to continually suggest what is going wrong with these third quarters because I just do not know, but it is not a coincidence at this point. I think like a small run is just kind of coincidental, but it very much feels like it is not coincidental at this point that the Raptors continue to shoot themselves in the foot in third quarters. Because yesterday's game, like the Clippers win handily, but one quarter lost the game for the Raptors. And it was that third quarter, yet again, that needs to be addressed. I don't know what the front office can do there. I think it starts with the coaching. Psychologically, you need to have something prepared for your team in the halftime period to allow them to come out and give themselves a better situation to go and win a game in those third quarters. Because it's so frustrating playing against a good Clippers team well for the first and second quarter and even the fourth quarter with the way Siakam was playing in that fourth quarter, but losing because of one bad quarter, extremely, extremely frustrating for this team to deal with and for fans like myself to deal with. So those are the three major problems, but what can the front office do to fix it? Well, in terms of the assets that we have available for this season, I'm not giving away more than one first pick if it means bringing in like one rim protector and one guy who can help you with your shooting. I think with the assets that we currently have, it's kind of looking like you're only going to be able to solve one of the problems that you have with your team. Like maybe you could trade a first, go after a player like Jakob Poeltl. Maybe you could trade Gary Trent Jr. to bring in a shooter, but like trading Gary also means you're losing a guy who's important towards your shooting. You could argue bringing in Miles Turner instead of Poeltl helps shooting and the rim protection, but Miles Turner, I struggle to see the Raptors being able to bring him in for just one first-round pick rather than two. I don't really want to give away 2 first-round picks, as I mentioned, for a player like him this season. A player like Zach LaVine, sure, 2 first-round picks going there, but that trade does seem unlikely. And talking about the likely ones, again, I just feel like the front office only has the assets available to play with that solves one of these problems. And if you're only going to solve one of these problems, it has to be rim protection for me, because in terms of your shooting, you have players here who can hit three-point shots, not like top of the league here, but better than the second worst three-point percentage in the league, only above the Charlotte Hornets, and that's not really saying much that you're above the Charlotte Hornets, who are a dumpster fire this season. You have players here like Fred, like Juancho, like Otto, like OG, like seemingly right now Malachi Flynn and Gary Trent and more players. You have guys who could knock down three-point shots who are just not doing it right now. Can you bank on that to kind of turn itself around a little bit? I think so. You really correct from a coaching standpoint the half-court offense to free some more open three-point opportunities. That's going to help with your three-point percentage as well. But rim protection, there is nobody here who can play that rim protector role. Nobody who can play it at the level the Raptors need them to at this present time, the team that currently still wants to go out and win games this season. But that will be the next question. Do they want to be a winning team this season? 15-19, is this season too far gone? I've said it many times. I'm waiting for the end of this calendar year. We have games coming up at home back-to-back against the Grizzlies and the Suns. 2 tough games there. You lose both those games, I'm pretty much done on this season. You win both those games, maybe you put a bit of pressure on the front office to get yourself something involved. You go 1-1 in those games, I think some further investigation into this team needs to take place before making a decision, because I'd love for the front office to take action, but it's too early to commit to being a winning team because this season is just in such a bad spot right now. But I think it's also too early to commit to a tank and give up on a team that is this talented on paper and has a player clearly as talented as Pascal Siakam there. You have top 15 talent on your team. It's very hard for me to want to give up just on that, but 3 major problems here. I think the third quarter one is easily solvable. I think you can solve the three-point shooting. I think that can turn around. rim protection is the area that is the biggest concern for myself. But what's your biggest concern, and where do you think this team should go in 2023? Let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments down below, because that is it for me for today. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please drop a like if you did enjoy. It goes a long way to supporting the channel. And make sure you subscribe to Amateur Hour Sports for videos like this and live stream watch parties for every Raptors game. You're getting 5, 6, sometimes 7 pieces of content all about the Raptors every single week on this channel. Let's make a big run to end the calendar year and start off 2023 on the right foot.